and I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, Chris County. Hello, Oregon. Hello, hello, America. Sorry, got distracted. Some silly person is calling me instead of watching my show. I don't know. How dare they? How rude. But I want to thank all of you who did tune in and didn't bother to call me. This is the Friday night rant, and I hope you have the proper material. You have the proper material, which may mean, something to throw out your window, maybe something to drink. I don't know. There's all kinds of material you might need, but we're going to have a really good show with lots of things going on. We're going to be talking about the protest. We're going to be talking about some events that are happening locally and in a very traveling accessible area. We're going to have lots of places where we're going to be having events this year, and especially this summer. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful summer, so why waste it? We're going to have a lot of things going on, and we've got a lot of local news to talk about. So please get ready to rant, and you're more than welcome to join the rant. You can now comment on Rumble. I don't know if you guys know that, but you can comment on Rumble. You can comment on Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, and of course, YouTube. All of those places you can make comments. Please make comments. We'll try to respond. If you have a rant that you want to go off on, please put it on the air, and we'll let everyone know what's on your mind. And so joining me tonight, I've got my regular co-host, Marty. Marty, how you doing, man?
Oh, and there's that guy again. Yikes.
There's that guy again.
Wow, really scraping the bottom of the barrel, because here's Marty once again. Oh, boy. But
so what's new in your world? Anything?
not much. It's been a busy week, and it seems to be, we got out to the Elliott Forest, and we got to see Shutter Creek. And and we've got something scheduled for Saturday, and we got something scheduled for Monday. So we got a busy week. We've been doing a lot of fun stuff.
And it was a real good trip out to Shutter Creek, even though I got the date wrong. Apparently, the state board for the Department of State Lands was meeting on Tuesday, and that was when the governor was coming to town, and they were having a big event. And I posted the Elliott board, which is the different board, and Melissa Cribbins was on there. We got to see old Melissa at the event, but they were having a meeting, and the governor had already left town. But it was good that we missed it, because we actually got a private tour of the place, which is really cool.
Yeah, really interesting facility. It has a lot of potential for other things that it can be besides just the headquarters for the research forest.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that place could be. There was a lot of ideas that were going through my head. They could rent it out they could rent it out for meeting places. They could put up new towers, cell towers. They got those big. What were those things for radar? That's what it was.
Yeah.
Did you know that place was a base before it was a prison? That was kind of interesting.
Until we got the guided tour, I did not know it was an Air Force base back in the 50s, set up to be like an early warning radar center that covered all the West Coast. And, They had people there 24/7 monitoring, making sure the Ruskies weren't going to fly bombers into us. So, it was, and they had huge radar domes up there, and a lot of the infrastructure that holds all those domes up is still there. So you could use it to put up more cell towers or put up more whatever towers. And there's a lot of meeting spaces. They've taken all the U.S. Air Force dorms, and then they turned them into a jail for a while. And then now they're empty, but they could be turned into, there's a lot of areas that could be turned into meeting spaces for conferences. It's a really nice top of the hill, out of the way kind of place that could probably easily, host 100, 200 people and, be a usable facility because it's in really good shape. And the guys that are maintaining it are doing a great job. So,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
very well maintained. And other than the
a big
one
shout
building
out
that
to,
had mold,
yeah, big shout out to Mateo. Yeah, we couldn't go into one
Mateo, you
building.
kick ass.
Yeah. Or Matt, he says.
Or Matt. And I'll have that video
Matt.
ready. I have to go through and edit that. There's spots where you can't quite hear because human malfunction. I forgot to turn on the microphone. They work great if you push the on button. If you push the power button, those things work great. If not, not so well. So yeah, I'm gonna have to work on that. But yeah, there were some sound problems, but I'll get that video up. I've got several videos, and we got some things that are happening. I here in the county before we start talking about the riot. I want to let everyone know that tomorrow it's a go National Flag Day, 3 to 5 o'clock at the Coos Bay Boardwalk. And the reason we're having it at that time is because the leftists, they've decided that they're going to have their No King rally on that same day, and we decided,
Yeah.
we really just want a peaceful rally, and we just don't want to mess with this nonsense. And
So we're not going at noon to put Trump stickers on all the cars?
that would have been something. I'm trying to
Or
find their
bring our emotional support cow?
our emotional support cow. That I think would have
Yeah.
had validity. That would have been something. I got the. Let's see if I can share this here. Yeah, in America we don't do kings, which is weird. I don't understand that because the Democrats they took out our presidential candidate without anyone. Our third presidential candidate without anyone after he got voted in from their primary, and yet they took him out, and they're telling us we don't have kings. I don't know.
Yeah. When they appointed Kamala to be the presidential running person, how many votes did she get in the primaries to be president? Oh, that'd be 0. They just appointed her. The Democratic Party just said, okay, we're running her for president because we don't want Biden now. And it's like, okay, isn't that sort of how you appoint a king? It's like, yeah, you're just appointed now.
You're just
And it's
appointed
like,
now.
and then, and all these people that are yelling, no kings, no kings. I mean, are you talking about the people that, like, say at the state level that were saying you can't go to work if you don't get the jab and you can't have your business
Right.
open? And,
Right.
and isn't that kind of a king thing? I mean,
All those mandates. Remember all those governor mandates? No, none of those mandates went through any legislation. It was just foisted upon us like,
yeah,
kind of like a king. Yeah.
yeah, we didn't vote on any of that stuff.
I want to see this video. They got a video here. Let's check this out. I haven't seen it.
Every day across this country, something powerful is happening. People are rising for each other, for democracy, and for our collective freedom. We have chosen not to live in fear or let division destroy this country. We believe in something bigger than ourselves and the promise of freedom and justice for all. But now, our rights and our freedoms are under attack. We can point fingers or we can take action. This spring, millions of us united for one of the largest peaceful protests in the history of the United States. Together, we told Trump and his billionaire administration to keep their greedy hands off our healthcare, our veterans benefits, our public lands, our rights. Courage is contagious, and now we're taking to the streets again on Saturday, June 14th for No King's Day. While Trump wastes tens of millions of taxpayer dollars on a military parade for his birthday, acting like a wannabe king, people in every state have organized over 1,800 events in their communities to uphold democracy and protect our rights. People standing side by side for the future we all deserve. We don't do kings in the United States. We believe power belongs with the people. Join us on Saturday, June 14th. Go to nokings.org to find the protest near you.
Wow, I wish I had their producers, boy. They do some good video.
Oh, I know. And I know I know that song. I actually have that song. But anyway, yeah. But here's the whole thing. It's like, okay, it's the No Kings rally. Isn't that, as Phil Taylor says, isn't that a little gender specific? Where's the No Queens rally? But then you'd get in trouble with the pride people. So it'd be like, well, what do you mean no queens? We can't have that.
We can't have that. Yeah, I don't know.
But these people are getting paid. This is a color revolution that's being executed on American soil to overthrow the government. These people are being paid. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can share this real quick. Present.
Yeah, see if you can share something
image
here.
file. See if I can find it real quick here. Yeah. There we go. So
there you go.
in Craigslist Seattle, you can get $500 for being there from noon to 4 and a $500 bonus for video evidence of the First Amendment suppression from a government official. So you show up for 4 hours. We're looking for provocative style wear to make a point. Food and drink will be provided. $500 base pay for being there for the hours of 1 to noon. So you're getting paid, what is that, whatever, 500 divided, $125 an hour to be a protester. So, yeah.
Okay, you leftists are pussies. You leftists are pussies. I'm telling you right now, I have been doing protests and rallies for over 30 years, not because I got paid to do it, not because of anything that I got out of it, other than I was fighting for my rights and everyone else's rights as well. And it just ticks me off that you got this George Soros money just flooding right into this whole thing and paying for these people. This isn't the first one I've seen here. There's been several that I've seen people have put out on Facebook and on Twitter. And I really don't know if they're all legitimate, but this looks pretty real to me.
Yeah. I mean, if it's on Craigslist, there was one that I found locally, but it was a burner phone number. Call this number to, sign up to be a sign walker is what they called it. They didn't call it demonstrator. They called it sign walkers. And I looked at the number. I tried to look it up, and it's a burner phone. So I'm like, yeah, that's legit.
Yeah. Yep. Ridiculous. And yeah, I just, I don't know why this is not being more discussed throughout there. And I have seen a couple of stories in what I would call leftist media. I know Fox has been covering it. I know other stations that are considered right-leaning have been covering it, but this is something that definitely needs to be more talked about. And where is the money coming from, pray tell, Marty? Where's that money coming from?
Well, I can show you. Let's see if I can find the image file. There's got to be an easier way to do this where I could queue it up and then we can just say, oh, I'll show you this one. But anyway. Ta-da.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, so here's the protest partners, and they're doing multiple protests. So the hands-off protest on April 5th, the protest on May 5th, and now the No Kings protest. And so we've got Vote Save America, Friends of Bernie Sanders, Field Team 6, Progressive Change Campaign Committee, and so forth and so on. And you just scroll down through all this stuff, and it's like, wow. Look at all these NGOs and look at all these, these political PACs and whatnot that are sponsoring these protests. This is almost as bad as Bernie flying around the country on a private jet saying, You fight the oligarchy tour. Yeah, you're paying
Yes,
15 grand an hour to fly a jet from place to place. Notice
because
how
we
he's
know
he's
that's
only
green.
complaining about. Yeah, well, he's only complaining about billionaires now. Now that he's a multi-millionaire and owns 4 homes, and
Yeah,
he's
right.
never done a thing in his whole life. But yeah,
I've never known a guy who actually was kicked out of a hippie commune. You got to be a real screw up to be kicked out of a hippie commune.
yeah,
Well, that's interesting. So this is all leftist money. This is I saw somewhere they were, and I didn't have it, and I can't see it here because the emblems are so small. But there was actually people saying that the government was funding part of this through California initiatives that were giving money to non NGOs, non governmental organizations. Have you
oh yeah,
found it?
no, oh yeah, I found a ton of it. Yeah, I've been following Data Republican on X, and she's just ripping it up. As a matter of fact, she found so much information that, that the actual government investigators are now getting very interested, shall we say, in what's going on.
They should be. They should be because like I would have a problem if I was using government money to fight this wind turbine thing, I would have a huge problem with it. I already have a huge problem that the other side gets so well funded with our tax dollars, but I would get ticked off if the government said, "Hey, look, we're the agency of the agency of contradiction, and we we have to put up a complete contrary argument to every other argument that we have in every other agency, and we'll pay for that." I would still have a problem with that. This is just ludicrous that they're using our tax dollars to wage war and instigate battles, political battles between people. It's like this windmill meeting that we have on what is it, Monday? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that they keep funding this, I mean, it's like we've made it pretty, we've made it loud. The counties have vociferously said we do not want wind turbines. I mean, in the last election, or the election but last November, the ballot initiatives basically 93% of the people that turned in ballots in Curry County voted on the wind turbine initiative, and 73% of those people said, no, we do not want wind turbines. And pretty much the same percentage in Coos County, except the people that are saying no were only like 61%. And that's only because we couldn't get in the voter pamphlet. So a lot of people didn't understand what yes and no meant because we didn't have the explanatory statements in the voter pamphlet. So,
Correct.
but
Is there
still,
anything else that
I
you
mean,
wanted to point out by this thing on the screen?
no. You can go ahead and take it down.
Okay, because I wanted to go back to the website. Let me see. Let me remove that and put this back on there because I haven't looked through this since I saw it about 2 weeks ago. And here we are. Here we are. Let's see. Can we get on there? Yep, there. Coos Bay Boardwalk. You got it. Oh, RSVP. We got RSVP. Oh wow. Let's share this tab. Here you go. The new Kings Coos Bay Kick Out the Clown. And here they've got it 12 to 2. And of course, ours starts at 3 o'clock, folks. An hour in between gives them plenty of hour to clean up after themselves and just go on their way.
Well, I don't expect that to happen, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Share
I don't know.
Share on Blue Sky.
Yeah. Share on Blue Sky. I didn't even know what Blue Sky was until somebody explained it to me. There's so many social media groups out there. But look here, they've even got the hotels listed. If you want to come in and stay at a hotel on the coast and do your protesting.
And this is done by Indivisible. Oh, and there's one in Bandon as well, huh? Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I get their emails. I'm on their Facebook page. Someone actually made me a member, and it's like I think they do that just to tease me, I'm sure. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, and I can't find it at the moment, but Indivisible, the people that are funding Indivisible are super anti-American. They're like aligned with the Communist Party, and I can't remember where I put that information, but yeah, you look into who's funding Indivisible, and it's like, oh my God, they're these people are out to destroy America, and then they get all these idiots showing up and like saying, Donald Trump's your king. And it's like, no, no, no. First off, it's Flag Day. Secondly, it's the
Hmm.
250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. And third, well, it happens to align with Trump's birthday, which I'm sure he put into place long before the Army or Flag Day was done, right? No. It just happens to line up that way. So
Just
everybody's
happens
saying,
to
"Oh,
line up that way.
yeah, he's having a parade for the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. How dare he?" And it's like, and he's trying to make it look like it's for his birthday. All this military people are,
Right.
are parading for his birthday. And it's like, no, they're not. They're parading for the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. Get behind that.
Get
And what do you
behind
got?
that.
What do you got wrong with the flag? I mean, I can see why you might not like Trump, but you don't like the army, you don't like the flag. Well, then just go to hell. That's about it.
Yeah. Go to hell, whatever country you're from. Let's see what about. I'm going to click the about tab here. Oh, it didn't go anywhere. Let's see about. Oh, here we got news. Nice little news. Projected millions of people in 1,500 cities. Yeah, this is going to be
Mm-hmm.
interesting. I wonder how peaceful it's going to be. Wow. Yeah, that takes us back to that again. How ridiculous.
Wow, that
How
looks like
ridiculous.
the pictures of a lung that's got serious cancer problems.
Yes, that's a serious cancer problem. Someone might want to get that removed. You need to get that looked at, America.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have those people deported. You know, I love the
Yeah.
liberals on Twitter. They're going, do you really want them ICE agents deporting hardworking Mexicans? And I'm thinking, well, it depends. Can I exchange them one on one with some liberal white guy like that guy and one of the videos I'll show you here. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's I would trade them one to one. Antifa 1-to-1 on that. That's
Oh
no
yeah.
problem.
I mean, yeah, yeah, let's do that. Okay, I tell you what, I'll keep one Mexican farm laborer. And by the way, there are things called work visas where if you want
Yeah.
to come into this country and work for about half the wage everybody else gets paid, um, then feel free, but get a work visa. And when your work visa's over, you go home.
You go home. Now, I wanted to show this. This is a group of patriots, and they will be having a protest in. This is going to be in Portland, and I had it here, and of course, I don't have it anymore. Let me get my phone together here. Okay, it's Saturday tomorrow at 11:30 to 12:30 at Salmon Street Springs. This is 1000 Southwest NAITO. Is that NATO Parkway, Portland, Oregon?
Hmm.
Salmon Street Springs, 1000 Southwest NATO Parkway in Portland, Oregon. And these people, they're true patriots because I don't know if I'd want to go and have a rally, a flag rally in Portland, man. That's got to be, well, absolutely crazy. But good for them. Good for them. I'm glad someone's up in Portland doing all this stuff. That's a neat thing. So all the protests you're saying are they're being funded. We know they're being funded. They're trying to say it's organic. It's kind of like that group that we exposed here. We talk about here, a rural organizing project, where they talk about how they're grassroots, but yet they got a $2 million budget, and they're very
Yeah.
well funded and very well connected to the same organizations that you were just showing.
Yeah.
Amazing how that happens. How those tentacles go to the same head, and a lot of times it's some globalist group or George Soros or both.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is tied to George Soros, but it's tied to a lot of things. And what they do is they set up things where, they'll create a federal grant or a federal fund, and then instead of saying it's they will call it uh, uh, a DAF fund, which is a director affiliated fund where they're not specifically saying they're going to give it to a cause. They just basically say, well, these directors are going to decide where it goes. Well, these directors are people that are, embedded in the deep state. So it's just a way, I mean, essentially what you can do is that's one way you can black box where all this money is going. So you can't trace it as easily. The thing is with the 501c3s and the 501c4s, is they have to do like, the IRS 990 forms, and we can look at those and we can see, that's how I found out about the Rural Oregon Project or whatever it was called. And, so I got their IRS 990 form, and it's like, they're making $2.2 million a year, and they've got a couple $1 million on the books. So don't tell me this is a grassroots effort, because you don't have a grassroots effort in Cottage Grove raking in $2 million. So
No, not at all. And if I tell you what, if I had a $2 million annual, was that an annual budget that they had, or is that just what they had on hand? Is that something they were getting annually?
it was churning about 2 million a year.
2 million a year. Could you imagine what we could do, Marty, with 2 million? I mean, we'd
Yeah,
need a much nicer car than your Prius to drive around from place to place.
I'm
We'd
just
need one of
wondering
those
what I'd do if
Suburbans.
I'm wondering what I'd do if I had an extra 2,000, much
Yeah,
less 2
yeah.
million.
Much less 2 million. But it just kills me. These leftists, they act like they're grassroots, and they've got millions of dollars backing them up. And I'm lucky if I can scrounge together a $20 donation for Fight Against the Wind Turbines,
Oh yeah,
And
20
here's the
bucks.
thing is we get called, and I've been called this. I don't know about you, but I've been called a con artist because I've been doing these political initiatives for a long time. And of course, people say, oh, that's what Rob's living off of. He makes a fortune off of getting out there and creating these political action committees and reeling in millions and millions of dollars. I don't know if that's what they actually believe, but I've been accused of that kind of shit. And it's like, wow, you can go check on the Secretary of State. Yeah, I have one political action committee, and it has so little money, we don't even have to report the transactions.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you're a grifter and you're making all this money on your PACs, then you really suck at it.
I do. I drive a Sentra. I don't know what the hell's the matter with me, but
Yeah. You're living large and driving your Sentra. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, now talk about no kings. I mean, look at this guy driving his Sentra. I mean, ooh,
Who
look
does
out
he
for that
think
guy.
he is driving around his fancy car and his
His
fancy
excrement does not
cigars?
smell. I tell you, he's
But I
'cause
have. I
he's
mean, I've been called a grifter, and it's like, okay, what exactly am I grifting? I'm trying to stop something or start something that's going to benefit, hopefully, everyone, or at least the majority of us. And yet somehow from that, you're accused of grifting. And of course, the reason is I'm actually going after the grifters, and they
yeah.
have to hit me with what they're really doing so that they can obfuscate the truth. That's what's really going on here. And
Obfuscate. I can't pronounce it either.
obfuscate.
Obfuscate.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think
Don't
that F is
obfuscate.
silent. I think that F is silent. I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
There's another word. There's an F in that you can use. Not very silent, but you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous that they, and I've heard this recently talking about candidates, and someone was telling me the other day how they thought Todd Vaughn was a horrible candidate. And I said, where do you get that? And they were saying, well, all the letters and articles that were written about him. And I'm like, yeah, so you're buying into it, huh? Did you talk to Todd Vaughn? No, I haven't talked to him. Well, you might want to talk to him, and you might want to talk to other people who know him before you have a preconceived notion based on someone else's opinion. And that's what sucks about politics. And then you get these people, we're grassroots.
Yeah.
Bullshit, man. Bullshit. $2 million.
Well, yeah, and the thing is this is always, it's projection. It's basically confession through projection. So when they say, oh, that Rob's a grifter. Well, the one person that I've seen that called you a grifter is the ultimate grifter. So, it's interesting that they're saying, oh, all those bad articles about Todd Vaughn. Well, they were all sourced from the same source that had
Yep.
an axe to grind because he was PO'd that Todd Vaughn was running against him. How dare somebody put another candidate into a primary? Isn't that what primaries are all about? You pick who you want to run your respective party, as opposed to, like when they appointed Kamala. It's like, yeah, don't mind all the primaries. Don't mind all the primary votes that Biden got. We're just going to go ahead and appoint somebody. And I guess DBS didn't get the note that he had not been anointed, he had not been appointed, and we actually wanted to run somebody against him. And golly, did he get upset.
Which is funny. The reason I started this comments and talking about this was because I was thinking about the left and how they're the ones who are, just completely destroy my character, my reputation, and anyone who gets in the way, they do the same thing to. And it's funny how we went right back around to the Republicans and how the Republicans are learning from the Democrats. Interesting. Yes. Interesting. I don't know if you guys keep up with, do you know Savannah Hernandez? Sav says.
Do not. No.
Sav says is I've had her on a radio show a couple of times, and she's a young lady who has a podcast, and she filmed recently these two people who are blocking this colored woman, this poor woman who was just trying to get her kids off to school, and she was trying to get to work, and of course they were doing those damn protests and they were blocking her up. And I've got a video of that, and I didn't know whether I was going to play it or not, but I had it anyway. And the reason I'm going to play it is that this video was played on Greg Gutfeld tonight, and they were wondering who this guy is. So I'm going to show you the video, and then I'm going to show you who the guy is and tell you a little bit about him, because this ties all back to how organized all of this is. And this is going to be very interesting, because it's just odd that this guy would end up in New York at a rally doing the same thing that he's been doing all along. And here's that video.
I know that these people are having their children taken and their parents. What about my kids? I need to get jobs. Look at this. That's what happens to my kids. I can't help it. This is what but you can if you could just move off the land. We're not going to. How is it the people protest if there's nothing to do? No, it's not.
How do you all as white people feel about stopping a black woman from going to work?
Oh no, not work. I care so much.
So you don't care about stopping black people from going to work?
Look at this line that you guys are causing. I'm not causing no problems. I'm not trying to. We're just trying to leave.
And so there it is. You've got two people stopping this poor woman from getting to work. And of course, it's always a white guy with a man bun who's lecturing some poor minority on their, what they're doing for a living. But here it is.
What oppression is. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't understand. I can tell you, as a white man with a man bun, I know oppression. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I ain't no lukewarm catfish. This is an update that was on X not too long ago, and this guy's name is Trevor Lee Thomas Britvek.
We're going with
yes,
Britvek.
Four freaking names: Trevor Lee Thomas Britvek.
Wow. Yeah, that's question mark number one. Why does somebody have four names? I mean, are they like super Catholic? Most people I know that have that many names, it's like, okay. But yeah, I mean, this guy is, he's basically a trust fund baby. He never works. He's been a professional student for 12 years, and he's a professional protester. And when he was protesting for BLM, he was awarded $115,000 because his civil rights were, violated when he was protesting with BLM.
Well, of course.
So this guy doesn't work. That's why he said, "Oh no, work." Well, because he doesn't work. I mean, So here he is blocking traffic. Some woman who's trying to get to her job is being blocked, and he's like, mocking her. And I'm just like, Yeah, that's because you've never worked a day in your life. You get paid to go to protests and be a clown. And with hair like that, he's a clown.
He's a clown. Well, hopefully we will get Savannah on the show again. She said she would come back on, but she's real busy right now covering the protest in New York. That was New York right there. And this is the article that I found on it. And he's 36 years old, and he was talks about the person he was filmed next to, but then it mentions Savannah Hernandez, the conservative commentator. But yeah, let's see. I was trying to see some of the stuff. Where did you find that information on this guy?
Oh, I found it on X. I mean, X is blowing this guy up.
Oh, good, good. X has
Yeah.
really come a long way since Elon has taken it over. It's amazing. I'm getting followers left and right, and for like 4 years under Biden, I was stagnant. In fact, I lost like 2/3 of my followers in one shot. It was like they came in and took out all these people, and so.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that was just
I for one am rooting for the two billionaires who are working for free to try to save our freedom of speech and save our country, as opposed to all the people that are protesting who are being paid by billionaires who are trying to destroy our country. So, who am I rooting for? The billionaires who are working for free. Trump doesn't take.
How dare you?
How dare you?
how dare you? That was just
How dare
rude.
you? Yeah.
They're very insulting. I mean, Greta doesn't like that. She only likes the Soros millionaires because they're paying her. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's not a good thing. Have you been keeping up with the legislature? Oh, I know what I
God.
wanted to before we move on.
Talk, talk about syrup of Ipecac. Yeah, I've been keeping up with the legislature.
I want to share this. Let me add this to the stage before we move off of this subject. Um, Oversight Republicans investigate funding behind Los Angeles riots linked to Chinese Communist Party. And I found this very interesting. House
Gasp, I
Committee
say.
on Oversight and Government Reform Chairman James Comer, Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets Chairwoman Anna Paulina Luna, and Subcommittee on Delivering on Government Efficiency Chairwoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, along with Republican members of the panel, are investigating the financial and political activities of Naval Singham, a U.S. billionaire with ties to the Chinese Communist Party that may be linked
Oh,
to
there
the
we go.
ongoing riots and violence in Los Angeles, California, as well as the far left organization Code Pink. And so I found it. There you go, right there.
Yeah,
It's
so it was that was the one I was trying to think of. It was Neville Singham and his wife who founded Code Pink, and they're both super commies and they're both multi-billionaires, and actually he's living in like I think he's living in Shanghai. So I mean, so he's a foreign individual paying for protests in Los Angeles, and I'm like, how is it that he's, how is it that he can do this? I mean, and not, first off, go find him, arrest him, and get this over
right.
with.
Right. Yeah. This is a foreign man and literally causing violence in our country.
Yeah.
You can't call it an act of war because it's not the Communist Party themselves, but it is someone who's connected to the Communist Party. And what really ticks me off is, like you said, how does he get the authority to do that without some type of law being used against him? That's mind-boggling.
Well, I think in the past it was part of the plan, and you got to realize a lot of the money that's being poured into this is because, the people that are running the deep state don't like the fact that Trump's trying to dismantle all this stuff, and so they're pulling out all the stops. A lot of these protests, it really has nothing to do with ICE. It has nothing to do with no kings. It has nothing to do with, Hamas, Israel, or whatever. These are all paid protesters, paid agitators. These are people, there's a lot of these people that come from different countries, and they're brought in to do this
To
because
do
it's
this.
It's called a color revolution, and this is what they've been doing in other countries for the longest time. The CIA was running color revolutions where they go in and they bring in protesters and they write all these psyops and they take over the media, and it's like, well, our media has been taken over, and up until Elon bought Twitter and renamed it X, all the mainstream media and all the social media were controlled by pretty much a single source. And they were all basically saying, pay no attention to the dumpster fire. Everything is fine. And if you don't like the dumpster fire, we're coming after you. How dare you say this is a dumpster fire?
Oregon Outlaw is saying that Sam Walton's daughter is also a contributor.
Oh yeah, the Walmart heiress is also a huge contributor to the Snow Kings thing, and it's just like, yeah. So don't go to Walmart because, well, the funny thing is the other people, the other heiresses or heirs of the Walmart Sam Walton guy, um, they published a statement and said this has nothing to do with Walmart. It's just because she's one of the recipients of Walmart bucks. This is not the stance. Walmart is not saying go to the No Kings rally.
My sister's a crazy bitch. Don't listen to her.
Yeah,
Daddy
yeah.
didn't know what
Don't
he was
listen.
doing when he put her in the will.
Yeah. Yeah, that sister was from a completely different father. But
We don't know who her mother was. We're ashamed
Yeah.
of her. We don't even talk
Yeah,
to her anymore.
she's a crazy girl in the family. We don't have no
Yes.
doings with her.
I don't have no dealings
No,
with
but
her.
yeah, but I mean the Walmart people are afraid they're going to get they're going to get the Bud Light treatment or something. So
Well, it would make sense because it's China, and who gets a lot of their products made in China by small children who are forced to make these products? Who would that be? Maybe Walmart? I don't know. I'm just
yeah,
thinking out
and a
loud
lot of
there.
what Amazon does. So hey,
It's
So-
it's just interesting stuff.
Well, isn't that special?
Yeah, just special stuff. I liked how they linked it together, and before I left this conversation, I wanted to talk more about that because you were talking about a color revolution, and I don't think people realize that that's still actually going on. It's a slow process. It's very methodical, and from
Yeah.
the George Floyd protest to now, you can see this is happening. This is what they've been waiting for. They wanted a reason to be able to get out into the streets, and I think it's going to backfire on them. Because we did go through 2020 and we found out that it was a bunch of bullshit. George Floyd is a criminal. He actually died of a drug overdose, not because he couldn't breathe, but because he took too much of the old fentanyl, and so that was his problem. And so
Yeah, there was not one but two coroner reports, and both
Right.
coroner reports for George Floyd said there were no contusions, there were no bruises, there were no life threatening injuries whatsoever. But he had twice the lethal dose of fentanyl. He had a certain amount of
Yeah.
cocaine. He had some other drug that was at a lethal quality or quantity. And it's like when you're like overdosing on fentanyl, what happens is you forget how to breathe. You will suffocate. And so that's why he said, I can't breathe. It's not because, some officer was, had a knee on his neck. He didn't even have any bruises. So couldn't have killed him. But that wasn't the point. The whole point was they wanted some flashpoint so they could get, a certain amount of people to go in there. I mean, it's part of the whole rules for radicals anyway, but
Yep.
get a certain amount of people to go in there to start inciting riots. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are going to join in because, yay, we get a loot and burn. And, and that's what happens.
And that's the other incentive is that they actually go out to get and loot and burn. It's like the purge for them. This is,
Yeah.
oh, we get another riot. Oh, the purge, you mean? Yes, we get to go out and purge. And
Oh,
I wonder,
another
how
riot. I
many.
got to get to the Apple store. I want that iPhone 16.
Right. I wonder how many of those crimes are planned out pre protest. You know what I mean? How many are
Oh,
they?
yeah.
Because that's what I would do if I was a criminal And we all saw this was coming. We all knew this was eventually going to happen. But I'd be sitting back. I would be targeting the banks on the outskirts of the city, where those the police farthest away from the part where the police are at, in the protest. I would be farther out planning my robbery from the banks because there were no police to respond. He said
Yeah.
there was no one to respond to any emergency unless it was life or death, and even then it was questionable.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, it's a great cover. I mean, if you're going to, okay, there's a great protest going on. There's going to be a lot of people that would not be doing crime that are doing crime because they're going to go, the police are busy elsewhere. I can pretty much get away with anything at this point.
So I think
There's
that
that aspect
that's
of it.
happening as well. So you have a lot of things contributing to this, because if I was in a gang, I would want this to go down. And then I saw somewhere else where there was some a religious figure, some imam, who was telling all Muslims to rise up and join the riots because it was their duty to Allah to defend all immigrants. And they're calling them immigrants, but in fact they're illegal aliens. They're illegal invaders.
Yeah. Well, and plus there's the sort of the whole Islamic revolution type of thing where they want to overthrow the United States, and what a perfect time to get involved in that.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to point out before I...
No, we can move on. I'm just, you know me, I can rant about just about anything. So
Yeah. Oregon Outlaw says, how dumb do you have to be to steal a iPhone and expect it to
steal an
work?
iPhone, yeah.
iPhone and expect it to work and not rat your dumb ass out. LOL. You cannot make this shit up. And yeah, a iPhone. Oh, I was see there too many. They use just saying plain letters to spell out words now. Everything has a letter to it. LOL.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I mean, because I was saying, oh, hey, the riots are going on. I want to go steal me an iPhone 16 because they were looting the Apple store and they were looting the Nike store in LA. And Mayor Bass was going, well, this is all Trump's fault. It's like, really? Okay, that's a stretch. I mean, how much time did she spend in Cuba? And she's an organizer for the Communist Party, and she was, she was in Ghana or whatever when the first fires broke out in Los Angeles. Yeah, she's only there because they put her there to make sure this happens.
Yeah.
Ooh, NVBM. Da-da-da-da.
NVBN. And there's a lot going on. I don't know all the things that are happening. Let me see if I can get back to the message here. Wrong person, Michaela. She says, here's some stuff you can share. The SOS Mesa transposed 2 letters on our website in the final petition, so we had to resubmit. We have to deliver a hard copy of our petition to their office before the petition will be certified. That is happening Monday. Certification is the last step before gathering 155K signatures. We need to raise $3,000 this weekend to print up 25K signature sheets and mail them out. We will be launching our sign up for fair booths in about a week, and people can contribute. And she gives a tiny URL, but I'm sure that same URL can be found at endvbn.com. And I actually got a video of her, but I couldn't, my limited technology brain here, I'm just, just not as quick as these kids are today. And so I didn't know how to get it off my damn Telegram. And so I'm going to play it here. And
Oh, okay. I was going to say, do you want me to go look something up so I can present it, or what do you want me to do here?
no, let me, I'm going to play it here, and I'm just going to let you guys listen to it.
In election security, I got a bit burnt by the DC sun today, and the jet lag really has me dragging, but nothing's going to stop me from updating you and calling you to action. Here's the latest. There was a small mix-up with 2 of the letters on our website in the final petition. So we had to resubmit to the Secretary of State. No big deal. We're handling it. On Monday, we're delivering a hard copy to the office to get it certified. Then that's the last step before we hit the ground running to collect 155,000 signatures to end vote by mail in Oregon. But here's the urgent part. We need to raise $3,000 this weekend to print 25,000 signature sheets and mail them out. Plus, in about a week, we're launching signups for the fair booths. So spread the word. You know what's on the line: a secure, transparent election system we can trust. So, my fellow patriots, I'm calling on you to step up. Visit tinyurl.com/NVBM. I made it easy for you so you can contribute whatever you can. Every dollar powers this mission. Thank you for standing with us. Let's keep the fight going and secure our elections together.
All right. Did you hear that? Was that okay?
Yeah, it sounded okay. So
right.
tinyurl.com and VBM. Let's see if that works. And it does. So there you go. I
Where
put in
do you
her
got
X
that?
account link. What's that?
Where is it?
Oh, I'll put it in the Facebook chat. So
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm sure she has it at the nvbn.com. If you guys want to go there, I'm sure she has the tiny URL there where you can donate. And they need $3,000 to start this up. This is really important. There, Marty's got it. Let's see.
yeah, and that will redirect you to Anadot, which is their donation location place where you can type in, "I'd like to donate $20," but don't be a cheapskate. Donate $30.
There
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
it.
There you go. And this is for ending vote by mail. Please, if you get a chance, if you want to help out, if you go to nvbm.com, I'm sure there's a spot there that they will give you to sign up for the petitions, to sign up to gather stuff, signatures. Well, they'll need signature gatherers. Let me see. I got it here. Let me see if I could share this. Boy, there's so many screens open here. Let's see if I can add that to stage. Hey, looky there. I actually did it. Okay. So there it is. That's their website, NVBN. And you can join. You can join Washington, Oregon, California. They're looking to end this in all of the states. We got
There's
intel here.
big red button in the upper right-hand corner for donate.
And donate, and that's there you go, and it will take you to right there. And this is the antidote donation, and they need the money. If you want to help, you can help them out. And good stuff there, very good stuff there. And it was cool. Steve Jonkus is helping them out with that. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I've been talking this whole time and I haven't shared the page. There it is. That's a little bit better. Here's where it is, antidote.com. Their antidote page.
So if you go to nvbn.com, there's a button in the upper right-hand corner that says donate in bright red, or you can go to the links that I provided in the chat, which you can probably put on the screen. I'm not really sure how to. Let's see. Oh,
I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, so there's where you can find her on X that has all the updates. So that's Michaela's updates on X, which also has the link to Anadot. And then there's this one, which is tinyurl.com/nvbm. Takes you directly to the donate page, and away you go.
And
you too
away
can donate for the cause.
You go. And donate for the cause. And they definitely will need it. And we're going to be having booths. We will have pop-up sign-up sheets, sign-up booths. We're all over the place. I know MJ Golder said we could use the parking lot at Napa here in Bandon. I know the guy at the hotel in downtown, what's that, Best Western Hotel in downtown Coos Bay, who always lets us use his corner right there. So we're going to have a lot of places to do those.
Super. Great.
Yeah. When's the last time you've gone and gotten petition signatures?
Never.
You've never gone and gotten petition signatures, huh?
No. I don't think I have. I mean, I will usually sign petitions when somebody bugs me at McKay's or something, but I don't think I've ever wandered around and had people sign petitions. Now, I've wandered around to do canvassing for suspicious mailing address, or yeah, suspicious addresses for people that voted. So,
Mm.
you know, but that's vote canvassing. That's voter integrity canvassing. That's a different thing altogether.
Yeah, I've done that one too. I've done that one. But no, the going around to different events asking people, can you we're trying to pass this law and we were wondering if you could put your name, address, and I forget what other information they ask and sign this right here. Do you mind doing that right here at this event? I mean, you've got time to take out for this. And in some petitions, it's easy, like the recall Governor Brown. We had the flush down the Brown political
Oh, there you
signs, and
go.
people were lining up to sign those petitions. We had like 6 petitions in 1 year, and it was me and Joe Teal. And hi, Joe Teal, if you're watching. But yeah, it was me and Joe Teal 1 year. We spent the entire fair getting petition signatures, and she would take the day shift, I would take the night shift, and it was just it was intense. There was a lot of signatures to get, and you almost, and it's nothing more cool, Marty, than to when you're one of the chief petitioners. That's the guy who gathers the sheets in the end when you have to, just right before you turn them in, and you've got like 10-15,000 signatures, and you're going, like they were cards or something. And it's really cool because it's like, wow, all that work you can actually see in a stack that you've done. And it's not the easiest thing to do. And the hardest part is going door to door. When we go to the events, people come to you, so they're not as angry. But when you knock on somebody's door, hey man, can you sign this paper? Yeah. Hey man, can you meet my pit bull? And so, it's one of those arrangements.
Yeah, when I was doing canvassing, it was interesting because there were times when we would go to a location and then we would go, okay, I think this is the address. And then we'd stand outside about 10 feet away from the door talking reasonably loudly so they could hear we were talking, just to see if anybody was around. And then usually you'd get somebody peeking out a window or coming to the door going, what can I help you with? And it's like, oh, we're just, and then we'd explain to them what we were doing. And 90% of the time they were like, oh, well, if that's the case, yeah, come on up, we can talk. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we got 5 people registered to this address. Do you know any of these names? And they're like, oh yeah, that guy lived here like 4 years ago, but he hasn't been here since. And I said, that's the only thing we're doing. Yeah, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
I'm just doing election integrity stuff. We got 5 people that are registered at this address. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, because it's like an 800-foot square house. You're like going,
right.
Really? There are five people.
There's 5 people
here?
there. That's just odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So petitioning is very important, and we've gone through a lot of petitions locally and on a statewide level. I hate the recalls. The recalls are worst, but yeah, going door to door is brutal, man. And you have to have a couple of people because I've actually, we'll tell the petitioners, especially women, do not go inside for any reason. Don't go inside. Yeah. And I remember one of the ladies disappeared. And so obviously she went inside, and of course she didn't come out for like 10 minutes, and we're looking for her like, oh, okay. Oh. And she comes out, and apparently the guy was a handicapped guy. He was in a wheelchair and he needed help with something, but it was like, we were worried that, oh no, it was a leftist. They got her. They got Franny. Yeah. What are we going to do now? They got Franny.
There are about 100 different ways that could turn out horribly, horribly wrong. The fact that she was helping a handicapped person, that's one way to be like, oh, well, that's okay. But the rest of them, you're like on. And then
Yeah.
It's going to be on one of those late night, like
Yeah.
the horrible story of the.
It was like a Netflix movie. You could just see the beginning of it. Yes, they were out one day in a pleasant neighborhood petitioning when something went horribly wrong. You know what I mean? It's like it writes itself, and so it's petitioning. That'll be the name of the movie, petitioning.
Petitioning.
When getting signatures threatens your life.
Life.
And I have had. It's funny. I've had people. When I've been gathering signatures, they'll come out and they'll be yelling at me and cussing at me. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Are you yelling at me or are you yelling with me? I'm not sure. And they go, oh, no. I'm all for you. I want to sign it. And it's like, well, I wasn't sure because all I was getting was a cuss word every third word. And I couldn't understand anything else. And I'm not sure if you were cussing at me or the government. And it's always nice to meet those people. It's when we were out knocking on the doors for Todd Vaughn, I don't know how many times he would go, I'm with the Republican Party. And they go, I hate the effing Republicans. Well, we do too. So come on out. Let's talk.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a problem with them too. That's why we're running somebody that's got a half a brain against the Rhino guy.
Yeah. So that's NVBM. And so we will have those booths and we'll encourage people. We'll be at the fair. I don't know if the Republicans here, I don't know if they're organized enough to have a petition at the booth, because I don't know if they're organized enough to even be at the fair. So, damn, I couldn't answer that. See, that's important. Go ahead.
Yeah. Are they actually going to have a booth? Because they certainly did a great organization for the last election, which is, I guess, not quite over yet. It's not certified yet. But, I mean, they didn't say peep one about DBS backing Democrats. They certainly weren't beating the bushes going, here's a list of candidates that we think you should support. None of the above. I mean, did they have any like town hall meetings where it's like, hey, come meet the candidates, or here's the people we think ought to run for Coos Bay School Board, or here's the people we think would be great for SWAC? None of I didn't. If they did, I didn't know anything about it. How about you?
Right.
You're more into the Republican machine than I am.
I used to receive emails every month telling me when and where their meeting was going to be held. It's held on the fourth Thursday of every month. It's been that way since I can remember, going back 20 years. And it's infuriating that I no longer get the emails. So I don't even know when or where the meetings are. I know that's intentional. And from what I understand, only a certain amount of the precinct committee people are getting emails. Diane Rich, who is a PC committee person, hasn't received an email, she says, in over a year. So wondering what they're going to do. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the leadership is still there. Rod Schilling, the former chair, should just resign off the executive committee. Michael Brainerd, who's the current chair, should just resign. And anyone would be better than those two. And I mean that. If we had a leftist who could make a website like the Democrats have, heck, man, I'd take that person just for the website technology alone.
Well, yeah, just anything.
Anything, please.
Yeah, if there's any presence, it's usually a negative presence, like back when the kerfuffle started with the DBS stuff a long time ago. It was like, then they were kind of like locking people out of meetings, or saying who could or could not go to meetings, or who could speak at meetings. And, and it was like, wow. So if this is your recruiting strategy, no wonder everybody's changing over to NAV. I don't think in Coos County it's a DMV error. I think people are doing this on purpose.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we want people to join, and our slogan is F you.
Yeah.
So okay. I don't know.
We want you to join, but we're not going to tell you when the meetings are. And if you show up to meetings, well, we're not going to let you talk or ask questions. And if we do have any food out, it'll be like leftovers from the dollar store that were thrown in the garbage because it was stale. So, yeah.
Are you going to go to the next meeting? I talked to you the other day.
You discussed it with me, and I forgot to put it on my calendar. So I'll say a yes with a question mark.
Yes, let's see. That meeting would be happening on the 26th. I don't know where. He's supposed to, when I say he, the chair, Michael Brainerd, supposed to send out a notice of the agenda by the 10 days before. From what I hear, that's probably not happening either. And we've already requested that they accept our PCP applications. And of course, they said they were going to have to vet our PCPs, which we're more than happy to have them go up there and get them vetted, because they are much more conservative than, well, probably most of the representatives representing Coos County right now.
Yeah.
So I don't really see a problem of these people becoming PCPs. And if they're not becoming PCPs, it's because the current leadership is afraid that people are going to come in, see the disorganization, and then try to get new leadership, which is what we want. And, that's the obstacle.
Yeah, I mean, and, there are no PCPs for Precinct 18. So,
Yeah.
even if I'm only here half time, at least having a half a PCP is better than none.
That shouldn't even matter. Yeah, because this was the argument. The chair, we tried to have Carol Yardley and her husband Elmer, who are precinct committee people in the Republican Party. We tried to have them at the meeting because we wanted their representation, and Michael Brainerd wouldn't accept them because they were on Zoom. Now, I don't know if you know about Elmer. The poor man is having a lot of health problems.
He's not feeling well, yeah.
And she has to take care of them, so
Yeah.
they are pretty much contained to their house, but they're still PCPs, and we do government meetings over Zoom meetings, so there was no excuse for it. So you could still do the meetings. You could do it over Zoom, because that's one of the things we want to change as soon as we get people in there who have common sense. And that's all we're asking, is people to have common sense. And we think if we get more than the PCPs who are there and controlled by the powers that be, then we could have actual change, because we would have the majority. And I don't say we as in me or any group. I say we as we, the people of Coos County.
I thought you were using the royal we. We want the party to be this way. We.
Wow, I sounded like that? Shit, man.
We don't want any of the peons and the poor folk and other people that actually have their own mind to join us. No, we want you to kowtow to we.
Wow, man, that was a good impersonation. I'm going to go shoot myself now.
No, it wasn't you. I was just saying,
okay.
You clarified and said it was we, the people, and I was like, yeah, as opposed to the imperial we. I was like,
the imperial we.
We are your queen.
Oh, shit, that's funny. But it's, that's the thing, though. Anyone who's organized, or who has an organization that's open to being, all organizations like that, if they have a board and they have board members, they're open to challenges, and that's what they're afraid of. They don't want this challenge, and they're going to have this challenge because they're incompetent, they're captured, and they need to go. And they're going to have this challenge either now or down the road when we have the election, and they can't stop people from becoming PCPs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the whole thing is they're the thing is they're skewing Rhino, they're supporting a Rhino, and they don't want to give up control. And I'm like going, so you are essentially saying I'd rather be in charge of the Titanic than actually have a workable boat. So they're taking the boat down. They're sinking the ship. They've struck the iceberg. Everybody has left the boat. Everybody's changing over to be a nav. Everybody's in the lifeboats and has left, and they're like, but I'm still in charge of the boat. And it's like, yeah, good for you.
Yep. That's, I want to be the captain. That's, like wanting to be the captain as the ship is sinking. Yes.
Yeah.
But no, they can bring that around. We can make that a finely tuned machine. We've got the technology now to do it. I sound like the $6 million man.
Yeah.
We've got the technology. We can make that party faster and better than it ever was. Steve Austin.
Yeah, okay.
So, but
What are
we
what are
could
doing,
though.
like
That's the thing.
we're doing an MST3K skit now, it seems like.
Oh
But
no.
anyway.
Oh no, man. Watch out. But no, seriously though, we could change that party and make it a much more fine-tuned party, and then combine that with the activism that's going on around the party, working parallel on parallel issues,
Oh yeah.
election integrity, finding candidates, actually running for office, fighting for issues. We're doing all those things. The party should be doing that. The party should be encouraging people to be at this wind turbine meeting. I'm willing to bet that they haven't sent out one notice about this wind turbine meeting or this protest that's happening on Monday. I bet if I could go, because I've also been kicked off the Facebook page for the Republicans, but if I could go there and I wasn't blocked, I'm willing to bet they don't have those posts.
Wow. Yeah, and I don't follow him because, ick.
Yeah.
No.
Ick. Yep.
No, I mean, well, first off, they don't post very often, and secondly, I stay off Facebook as much as I possibly can. So,
I don't blame
I'm
you.
only there to play words with friends. If I accidentally see somebody posting something, I'm like, yeah, I'm closing this tab.
So this is end vote by mail, and I just want to remind you guys, if you want to get this petition or you want to donate, you can donate at this website that's at the left-hand corner of the screen there. That's the tiny URL where you can donate money to this organization, and they're a good one to donate to because they're going to need it. It costs a lot of money. I mean, I don't know, how much is it for double-sided black and white printing these days? Is that 5 cents, 7 cents, 10 cents? I haven't paid for printing in a long time. I don't know.
I haven't had to do bulk printing in a long time, and usually I had access to huge high-speed printers. I just do it myself. So, but yeah, it's bound to be costly, and and then you're showing the NVBM website. You can get information from there as well. I actually like the NVBM website because they go through just about all of the legislative bills that have happened since 1998, and why are we here now? How did we get here? And
do they?
It's like,
where's that on the Intel part?
Let me look. I just took that page down.
Well, they got a lot of good stuff on here. Voting in Oregon feels good, and that looks like a total lefty Oregon sign. That's smart. National elections activist Scott Pressler joins the West Coast movement to end VBN.
Oh yeah, Scott's joining up. That's cool.
That is cool. He's a long-haired hippie, but that's all right. We'll let him in.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out what that link is. I think it's one of those things where you have to know what the link is to get to the.
No, that's okay.
Maybe not. Yeah, well,
that's okay.
We can talk about it later. Whatever.
And Monday, don't forget we have the we have the flag thing tomorrow. Don't forget the flag thing. Flag thing tomorrow. We're carpooling. You want to carpool?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, so we'll carpool up there and see if any leftists are yelling at us. I don't expect any problems, and to be quite honest with you, it's going to be at 3:00 in the afternoon. So nobody better just fuck with me. I'm just not going to be in the mood. So but
I think it'll probably be just fine. I mean,
yeah.
if we went up at like from noon to 2, I could see there might be some trouble, but.
Oh, I'm this is the ones that are coming out now, the leftists who are coming out now, it's not like that BLM Antifa crowd. It's like these old retirees the old hippie group, they got their tie dye on and stuff. So if they're like us, the reason I don't schedule a protest or rally over 2 hours is because that's about as long as I can stand before my sciatica kicks in. And once my sciatica kicks in, I got to go. No more protesting for me. And so that's what I figure for the leftists, the old leftists. They go, oh, forget it, man. We're going to go have a beer.
Yeah.
So
no, I
that's
mean, except
tomorrow.
when, I think it was, I can't remember what I think we were having a wind turbine rally on the boardwalk, and that the leftists happened to be having something else across the street. And, and Carol Yardley stopped for a red light, and they, she's got Trump stickers on her car. And they were like attacking her car and like blocking her way. And I was just like, you don't really expect that from the blue haired ladies, but, I guess some of them have TDS so bad they're willing to take their walker out in the street and hit somebody's windshield with it. So I don't know.
Then on Monday after my show, oh, by the way, I've got Trevor Loudon coming on Monday.
Oh, okay.
And
So
he's going to be.
Yeah,
Go
give
ahead.
everybody out give everybody out in podcast land an idea who Trevor Loudon is.
Trevor Loudon wrote the book, which became the movie Enemies Within, talking about the enemies within the United States legislature who have been, for lack of a better word, captive, held, or being blackmailed or being paid off by the Chinese Communist Party. That's why he calls them the enemies within.
Gotcha.
The Canadian government has shown that I think it was 1/3. I think it was like 1/3 of the politicians on the west coast of Canada are all bought and paid for by China. They're saying a good portion of our state legislators and our federal legislators are bought and paid for by China. David Brocksmith. And so, I'm having him on the show to talk about Iran and Israel and what's going on between them, because he's an expert in geopolitical affairs, and he's written several books. The enemies within the church, that's a good one, talking about how the church has been taken over by the leftists. You look at the Episcopalian church, and I mean, they're just wow, it's like a total drag queen fest. One of their ceremonies now. So it's interesting stuff. And so Trevor said he would be on Monday because, unlike me, who, I don't have a whole lot of friends in Israel or Iran, but he does. He has a lot of contacts, and so he'll be talking about what's going on around the world and such. Because I'm too stupid. I barely know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
And so that's why I got into this business, Marty, is so I could talk to smart people and I can shake my head like I actually know something.
Oh, you see, and that's what I thought I was here for. So you would look smarter by having me on. So
see how I'm shaking my head? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
But Monday after the show, we're having one of those damn wind turbine meetings, because that's what the legislature directed the Department of Land Conservation and Development, or as we know it as DLCD. It's one of the worst agencies in any state. In fact, you can go back to the Rockefellers. I show you, look at this big ass book I got.
Uh-oh.
Somebody sent me this. It's called Rockefeller and Regionalism: The Shadow Behind Oregon's LCDC. And but it talks about our land development and how things like the DLCD came into existence. And it all goes back to Rockefeller and a lot of these socialists from the 30s and 40s of the last century. Yep. Deep stuff. And it's not conspiracy theory. I'm going on where all this stuff is. That book is nothing but historical documents, documenting the visits of Rockefeller to our legislators and our legislators passing different laws and regulations and creating agencies. This is all documented. It's not conspiracy, man.
Yeah, and I've read a lot of that stuff, and I mean it's like you have it was the Rockefellers for a while. Now you have other people with big money that are directing how things happen in a worldwide fashion. It's not like, oh, I think I'll buy another yacht. It's like, oh, I think I'll have somebody overthrow Syria. So they've got bigger things they're playing, and a lot of this is tied into the military-industrial complex where they need an infinite loop of wars and then rebuilding and wars and rebuilding and wars and rebuilding. That's why you have this whole that's why I refuse to comment about the Middle East, because it's like, well, the friend of this year is the enemy next year. So
Right.
I'm this is all part of the cycle of how
Yep.
is it that military contractors and building contractors and the BlackRocks of the world make trillions of dollars? Well, because you have an infinite loop of infinitely long wars. And they're really kind of PO'd that Trump had the Abraham Accord that had peace in the Middle East. He got North and South Korea talking, actually walked across the DMZ between North and South Korea. The Indian-Pakistan war looked like it was going to go nuke, and like 3 days later, it's like, yeah, we're good. And they're like PO'd about the fact that they'd keep trying to incite these world wars, and he keeps like turning them off. And it's like, how are we supposed to make money if we can't kill a bunch of people and sell trillions of dollars of arms and then turn around and do trillions of dollars of rebuilding? How are
Yep.
we supposed to stay in business?
Yep. That's a problem. That's a problem.
It
And I'm in
is.
the wrong business. Once again, if I was a grifter, I'm a really lousy grifter, because that's
I am the worst grifter ever.
wow. That would be a total cool business to get into, the arms business. And
Yeah.
the thing is you talked about Syria. Syria is the proxy war where Israel and the United States is fighting Iran and Russia through this proxy war that's going on in Syria. And now it's been extended between Israel and Iran, with Israel being backed by the US, Iran being backed by Russia, and to a lesser extent, China. And so, like you said, this is what they want because it's a bigger than just the proxy war that's going on in Syria. This means much, much more in arms all over the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an infinite loop. And it's like, anybody that tries to stop this cycle, I mean, Eisenhower warned us about it. He basically said the one thing we have to worry about is the military-industrial complex. And at the time, everybody was like, well, what the hell is he talking about? And then, and then there'll be things happening. And it's like, oh, my God, they invaded Kuwait, and we must go save them. Operation Desert Storm, here we come. And, oh, they had weapons of mass destruction, and so we have to go, bomb the crap out of them. And this, that, and the other thing. And you're like going, no, this is just, it. And the problem is a lot of this stuff has been going on for so long and is so deep and so very well entrenched. And the propaganda campaign and the psyops have been so very good that a lot of people, even myself, are really slow to wake up to this stuff. I mean, to be honest with you, for the longest time, I thought, well, some of the Republican presidents we had were pretty much okay. And then I start looking into how, what actually went on. I'm like, oh, they're a bunch of scumbags too. I just didn't realize it because, I was naive enough to believe Walter Cronkite was an okay guy, or
Right.
who was the guy that was like the, NBC Evening News,
Edward, not
yeah.
Edward Morrow. Edward.
Oh no, I'm talking a little more recent, but yeah. But it was
Morrow
just like,
was
yeah.
actually a good guy. Wasn't Morrow
Oh
a good
yeah,
guy? Yeah, he was
yeah.
one of the good guys.
Yeah, he was the guy. Well, and now that I think about it, he was the guy that went after the the communist hunter.
And
And
the
I'm like,
communist
well,
hunter, right?
yeah, but I'm like going, oh, the senator from Wisconsin. What the heck was his name?
Yeah, God, it'll come to me halfway through the
Yeah,
program.
drawn a blank. But anyway, yeah, that guy. And so he went after him. And now, years later, I'm going, maybe the communist hunter was the right guy.
Yeah.
Hold on. Who has the most farmland? And of all the places in the country that have land owned by China, guess which state has the most land owned by China? That'd be us. That'd be Oregon. Woohoo! Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are seriously owned by China, and it's funny you say that. There was something I was considering sharing on the show. Let's see if I have this here. Let me see if I could share this. They just recently had a meeting, and it was in the legislature. Here it is.
We're on the blue light. All right. Yes. I will call the meeting of the Oregon-China Sister State Committee to order. Today is Tuesday, June 3rd. The time is 2:02 p.m. in the afternoon. A couple brief opening remarks, and I will certainly allow the speaker to speak for herself. She'd like, okay, well, then on behalf of the speaker and myself, I want to thank everyone for being here for the Oregon-China Sister State Committee. Especially as we enter the frenetic final weeks of our legislative session. And it has been some time since we've had a gathering of this meeting, and I'm so happy to be able to restart the committee and be able to continue to engage in the conversation. And in fact, last night I was watching videos that my Deputy Chief of Staff, Carol Suzuki, sent me from the last meetings that we had in this room back in 2015 and 2016. So, and hopefully the meeting doesn't go as long as then, because at that time, Senator Roblin presented. And as we all know, it takes Senator Roblin quite a bit to get warmed up, and then it's hard for him to stop. So, Oregon has benefited over the years from our sister state relationship with the Fujian province for over 40 years, and with the Tianjin municipality for over 10 years. Oregonians across our state place immense value in citizen-to-citizen engagement. And I believe it's through meaningful dialogue and mutual understanding that we can reap great benefits to our state, both culturally and economically. And it is in our interest to strengthen the ties between our countries, especially at this critical time. So with that, we do have, I guess, Andrew, should we?
And that was a meeting that just happened last week with the Oregon-China Council. Of course, and David Brock Smith is on the council because China Dave, he's got to get his Tuttle tokens. And the only way he can get those Tuttle tokens, of course, is to get the grift going in China. Got to get that grift going in China.
Yeah, I wonder how many trips. I wonder if there's any way we can do a PRR for this, and how many trips has he taken to China, and who was paying for it, and where was he staying, and who was sponsoring it? Because I was just reading up today about Tim Walz, the guy that was running for VP with Kamala as P, and it's like he made, while he was still in the military, he was making trips to China like 30 different times, and he had, and he was actually in charge of a artillery unit that had some of the highest tech stuff on it. And it's like, okay, how is it that he got a security clearance to be working on this high-tech stuff and still going to China like 30 times? And it was like he'd get there and these students would like pay for all his stuff, and they would fly him for free. They'd put him up for free, and who knows else what was going on. And it's like, well, if Tim Walz was doing that, then I'm sure, DBS was probably doing it as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I guarantee you, anyone who's going to China is going, like I said, they're either going to try to find a way to corrupt you and blackmail you, or they're going to try to buy you off. One or the other is going to happen. And I think with David, it's probably both. I mean, really, a man who is that weak around food, drugs, and alcohol going to China, yeah, I can only imagine what they tempted him with. And, probably one of those fine Chinese massages with a happy ending. That's probably all it took. And he gave away all of our military secrets. And
Yeah, he
that's
gave
what's
away well, and he wasn't around when all that land was bought, by the way. So we can't fault him with the 110,000 acres, but I'm sure. I mean, it's no mistake that Thomas Tuttle, who ran Newport Asia for a while, had billions of dollars of Chinese investments,
mm-hmm,
wanted to cozy up to the guy who's on the China Council. Big
mm-hmm.
surprise there.
Big
I mean,
surprise. Yeah.
well, and I even, when we were trying to be nice to him, I even said, there could be a very good reason why these two guys are paired up because, who better to give you insight on how to get the best out of China than somebody that's been doing this for 20 years, running
Right.
Chinese investments. And he could have answered it that way. He could have just said, "Yeah, I mean, this guy is a great partner. He gets me to the people I need to see in China. He knows how business works in China. He's a very great asset." But that wasn't the case. It was, how dare you ask me this question? I'm going to sue you and your radio station and your little dog too.
And your little dog too. I actually have a clip of David from that
It's
meeting.
an ex officio member of the Oregon China Council and the chair of the Southern Oregon China Connection. I had the privilege, Senator David Brock-Smith. I had the privilege to lead the trade delegation in 2018 as a sophomore in the legislature. It was exciting and intimidating at the same time, but having the team there was fantastic. And then I was able to go back in 19. The $12 billion that we do in economic trade from Oregon to China is critically important, as are relationships and such. And so I appreciate both President Wagner and Speaker Fahey for bringing this together. These relationships are critically important for so many businesses across the state, as well as our friends in Fujian and China. Thank you.
And there you go. And there you
Oh
go.
my! And I was actually distracted by the thing that was in the lower right hand corner of that screen. I guess one's a sign interpreter, and the other one is like what Sears portrait studio picture of somebody. I have no idea who that is, but I was looking at the person doing the sign language stuff, and it looked like she was going. Every time he was speaking, she was like, making obscene gestures and making like choking noises, and
I missed that part. Damn.
yeah, I'm like
Damn.
going, I don't know sign language, but for some reason that doesn't look quite right. So he's like, okay, with $12 billion of business with China,
Yep.
and in the meantime, Textronics is moving out of the state, Dutch Brothers is moving out of the state, and basically every other business that was started in the state and was in the state is moving out. So all our local businesses have been replaced with this $12 billion from China.
Yeah, it's
Dutch
$12
Brothers
billion.
started in,
And you
yeah,
can't
Dutch
tell me
Brothers
that
started in
doesn't
Grant
have an
Pass with,
influence. You can't tell me that doesn't have a huge influence over businesses and politicians here in Oregon. You know what
oh
I
yeah,
mean? People are going to be loyal. And I've heard people, I have a friend who I won't mention his name or what he sells because people will guess who he is here locally. People know him. And he goes to China on a regular basis selling his product. And so he always talks so nicely about them, how wonderful it is, and that the places they take him always look so great and well kept. Of course, I'm sure they keep him, to a certain place where he can't go, where, if he did go, he'd see, bad things happening
yeah.
in bad
I'm sure he
places.
can't just he probably can't just wander off and like go rent a car and drive around and go,
Right.
ooh, look at the sights.
Well, and maybe he can, but he didn't. And you know what I mean? It's like, but they're
Yeah.
not going to take him when they're touring him around. They're not going to take him to those places. And of course, most Americans, we're going to stay where the shiny lights are bright and, it's so, but he talked glowingly about China, and a lot of people, we saw John Cena, the wrestler slash movie star, apologize because, he was talking about Taiwan as its own country, and that was a bad thing. And he had a movie in China, so he had to apologize to China, talking about Taiwan as an individual, independent country. And those are the types of things that if we're doing, what did he say, $12 billion of business with China, you have to understand that they have a tremendous amount of influence over our representatives and over the industry here in Oregon, and especially our colleges, because I think it was like $170 million they had dedicated to programs here in college programs here in Oregon. That's just in Oregon, $170 million. And that money comes with strings. I guarantee it.
No. I think out of the goodness of their heart, they're just giving $170 million to the, the American colleges because, we just want to show that China's cool, man. I mean, invite us to your next frat party. Hook us up with the cool sorority chicks. Here's $170 million. No, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like all research, it's like, well, how come the research keeps saying that climate change is the thing? Well, because all the researchers are being paid by the government to say climate change is the thing. Same thing with like, okay, China gives you $170 million. What are you going to do? Whatever China tells you to do.
Yeah. Climate change is a thing for $170 million. Yeah, you're damn right. It's a thing. Yeah.
Well, and that's actually that could be those actually could be tied together because if you look at it from the Paris Accords, the IPP basically says, well, everybody has to pay carbon credits and everybody has to have this level of output, and if your output, and then basically it's a way they pass money back and forth and they launder money, but the standards that America is held to is completely different than the standards that India and China are held to because they're considered emerging nations. And, okay, if you're an emerging nation, you don't have to pay attention to the emission controls. So China is building like 150 new coal-fired power plants. And I bet you couldn't build a coal-fired power plant here in the United States if you tried.
Nope.
So
good luck with that.
Yeah.
So before we go any further, this is really cool. Michaela just contacted me. She said, "Thank you, Rob. We've raised $400 tonight. That's a good head start on the weekend. If we can get listeners to give another $350 before the end of the night, we'll be a quarter of the way there. Also, you can advertise Ruck Pack meeting next Saturday. So there's a Ruck Pack meeting. That's the pack that Michaela's in charge of, and that's happening next week.
Yeah,
and
I'll 21st.
You want to find that for me there, Marty? You looking for that?
Oh, no. I was just looking I have it on my calendar because I'm going to. Are you going to that as well?
Yeah, I may. Gosh, I don't know. I really don't know.
I got an invite. I could probably find the invite and put it up for you, but I don't know. Is it a public meeting or is it a meeting for Ruck Pack Muckety Mucks?
It's a meeting for board members, I think. But I think everyone's invited. .org. Let me see if I got it now. Ruck Pack. Okay, let me share this. Let me add it to stage here. Boy, we got a lot of information here. And there's their website. And there we go. Let's see. News. Let's contact. Let me see if we can go down here if we see where the meeting is. Okay, well, let's go up to here and check out the latest press releases. News and Ruck Pack organization.
Ruck Pack reorg.
Okay, well, let me see if I can. Where the hell is this? Where'd she send me to? Okay, that's the problem. Too much technology, too much information. and I can't find it here. Dang it! But RuckPack is having a meeting, I guess, next week, and let's see, May 10th. No, wait a minute, that's the wrong meeting.
Well, I
June
mean, it's
21st.
yeah, it's
Executive
June
board
21st at
meeting.
11. Yeah,
Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, I got it now. And damn.
I'd forgotten all about that. I have a domain name called dbsbs.org.
Yeah.
When I was thinking of writing a scathing thing about David Brock Smith, so I was like, dbsbs.org actually redirects to RuckPack.
Oh, that is funny. That is funny. Oh, we got to tell that to Ben Edel. He'll love that. He was the original founder of RuckPack, and there it is. RuckPack reorganization. The Republican Unity Caucus was revived through new leadership on May 10th, 2025. This body intends to create a space where featured groups who hold conservative beliefs will have a unified place to gather with like-minded people. We would like to invite you to join our positive movement. The chair has officially announced the next meeting. Below are the meeting details, minutes, and last meeting agenda. And here you go. There it is. It's in Diamond Lake at the South Umpqua Room, happening at 11 a.m. And let me see. Next week, I have no idea if I'm going to be able to make that, but
I plan on going, but I mean, if you're going as well, then we might as well once again carpool.
Carpool, yeah, that makes
and
it
then
easier.
We're going to be going to Eugene, I think, at some point as well. So
yeah, so see if they want to take out two activists, two conservative activists in Coos County. All they have to do is find your Prius and set it to blow up for that Saturday.
Yeah, look for the Prius with the Biden or with the Harris Walls bumper sticker. Yeah, that's where I'll be.
That's the one. That's the one.
Well, it's perfect cover. I mean, I can drive that and nobody will suspect. You know, it's like liberal camouflage.
So we have to do this. We have to create a PAC so that we can raise money for fighting for or against certain issues and sponsoring candidates who are America First candidates. And since the Douglas County Party is one of the captured parties in the state of Oregon, there's several counties and the state itself are captured parties, meaning they're captured by the political establishment, by rhino Republicans, by people who have their own agenda. And well, I shouldn't say that because we all have an agenda. We all have our ideas, but there are people out there who have nefarious agendas, and they're trying to control the Republican Party so that they can get the outcome they want. And we have to have a political action committee that can work to get issues on the ballot or try to fight against issues and try to get candidates. And why do we do this? We do this to change policy. It's all about changing policy because that's what affects everyone, everywhere. And the only way to do that is to change either your representatives or change the law itself. And so since we don't have a Republican Party here, so to say, in Coos County, because once again, it's a captured party and they are stalled, mired in infighting, well, then we have to have this political action committee that's doing the job of the party. And I would recommend any disenfranchised Republican, any non-affiliated voter, Libertarian, Democrat, anyone who's tired of party politics as usual, RuckPack is the place to go. And I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, and basically, since the Republican Party in Douglas County and the Republican Party in Coos County, and at a statewide level, it's getting a little bit better, but Coos and Douglas counties are really horrible. So if, we want to be able to have something that acts like the Republican Party should act,
right?
And has, we're going to have differences, and we're going to have, people that want to do one thing and people that want to do another. But more often than not, that's something that everybody discusses, and then we come up with, you know, a way to compromise, as opposed to we don't like that idea, you're kicked out of the party. So
Right. You're gone. No,
you're
you
gone.
can't criticize us. And if you do, we are going to banish you to the woods and the wilds and let the wolves eat you. Yes,
We're
it's
gonna send the
weird. It's
flying
weird.
monkeys after you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, this total burnt, scorched earth bullshit they're playing is just, well, just that bullshit. And it's not going to go very well for them. And I don't know how they can say that we're all for building the party when we are so antisocial. Wow, that just the contradiction is mind blowing. And but we will be having another Republican meeting. It's going to be happening, I believe. I said, what was that? The 26th? The 26th of Thursday. I don't know where it is because they keep switching the places. I believe that's intentional as well. And so this is why they created RUCPAC, so we can try to get America First Republicans elected to office. And so that's just one place that you can go. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about there, Marty?
Nope. I mean, we've got a pretty full agenda because on the calendar we have we're going to the DLCD on Monday. We're planning on going to Eugene for the Judicial Watch versus the Secretary of State court thing and flag wave.
Right.
And I think you have a graphic for that somewhere, don't you?
I do.
Okay, let's see it.
There you go.
Yeah. No, that's the Coos County Boardwalk thing. We're talking about the Eugene. It's in there somewhere.
There it is. Damn, I had a lot of things.
Yeah,
I had a lot of things
wow.
going on.
Yeah, so much stuff. And actually, yeah, it's in front of the courthouse in Lane County, which oddly enough is in Eugene. And there is an updated graphic for that says Eugene. And we're like, yeah, who didn't know that? But
Wait a minute. That's 9:20 in the morning?
Yeah, which means how long does it take to get to Eugene?
Oh my God. We're going to have to leave here by what, 6? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the trial starts at 10, and so the whole idea is people should be there to wave flags at 9:20. So, we may be getting up way early for that one. So
Yeah.
Start drinking early, baby. Yeah.
Start drinking early.
Yeah. I'm going to wake up with a little extra whiskey in my coffee at 5 o'clock so I can get to Eugene by 9:20.
And so far, Judicial Watch, as far as I know, has been successful in all the times it's challenged voter rolls, haven't they?
They are 100%. Here's the whole deal. Judicial Watch is not in it for the love of country or for election integrity. They love exposing people, and they have like their whole news organization, but they make a lot of money doing these lawsuits because essentially what they do is they will not bring a lawsuit unless they can win it. And so the whole idea is that Judicial Watch fired a shot across their bow and said, unless you clean up your voter rolls, we're going to sue you. And let me tell you, we're going to win. And they went, we're not going to do anything. And it's like, all right, see you in court. So
who's going to be there from? Who's the guy? Tom Fitton, F-I-T-T-O-N. Is he going to be there?
He's going to be there, I do believe.
Oh well. How anyone else? Dr. Frank showing up? Because this is an interesting one.
I don't think so, because I was speaking with Dr. Frank a little bit earlier this evening, and he is a really busy guy, but he is going to be in Oregon once again. But not for this. As a matter of fact, he was supposed to be testifying in the Lindell case, the Lindell defamation case against Coomer, the guy that used to be Dominion Voting Systems.
Yeah.
And so the Coomer sued Lindell for $40 million in a defamation case, and that case is going on now.
Nice.
And the whole thing is that all it's doing is it's showing that, I mean, it's a jury of 8 people, and defamation is such that if you truly believe what you're saying, and Lindell truly believes in what he's saying, then it's not defamation. So he just needs one juror to agree with him. But they basically were trying to, rip Lindell apart and say he was an election denier. And they brought in this guy who was an expert who previously said election machines are easy to hack. And then now he's getting paid $750 an hour to say, oh, you can't hack the machines. And so they tried to turn it into, we are proving that the 2020 election was a clean election. And Lindell's going, no, this is just a defamation case. So we're only going to address that. And Dr. Frank was supposed to, he was supposed to testify yesterday. And then they said, nah, I think we got it covered. So they actually went to jury today. The jury will be back on Monday to decide this. And basically all it's been doing is exposing, basically exposing, how the Dominion voting systems are, super corrupt and super hackable, and bringing it to trial. And it's funny because one of the comments was, so basically what you're saying is that, you can't redress grievances. If you say I have an issue with these voting systems and it's not a government thing, but it's a private thing, the private company can sue you, and therefore you no longer have the ability to address your grievances. So that's unconstitutional. But anyway,
Yeah. Well, it was lawfare, and that's what they did.
yeah.
They used their $1 million lawyers to wage these legal battles against people. And well, I was just recently threatened to be sued. By the way, Marcia Jensen, I'm still waiting to have that letter from your attorney. I'm still waiting for that. And if you would please get on with it, I'd like to expedite this, because I'd love to go to court and prove that you were a pedoprotector. Yes, you're protecting a pedophile and a registered sex offender. And I'd be more than happy to go to court and talk all about it, because I'd be able to subpoena all of those emails and all of those complaints that I can't get through a public records request. So interesting, huh? Yeah,
Yeah, I love
Marcia,
that.
still waiting.
I love the discovery process, because when they do stuff like this, it's like, okay, now our lawyers can say, hand over all this crap. And it's like, oh, we don't want that revealed. And it's like, too late. You sued me.
Yep. These are idiots when they go to court and they realize, wait a minute. You mean I have to show evidence? No, I'm just saying he's guilty. You're not going to go on my word alone, Your Honor. You mean we don't do that here?
It's not like the New York lawyers or the New York justice system, where it's like, yeah, we're going to charge you with 34 felonies, and no, you can't have a jury trial, and you're guilty, and we're going to fine you $550 million. And I'm like, yeah, that's real justice here. But anyway, so that's part of the things that we're doing. We're doing the let me check my calendar again. So DLCD on Monday, Eugene on Wednesday, RuckPack on Saturday. So busy. And then you said there might be a Republican Party meeting, so.
There might be. I really don't know if they're going to be able to do that, if they'll follow through on that. So this flag wave's happening tomorrow. I mean, Wednesday, June 18th. And this is happening in Eugene and at the courthouse. So that would be downtown. I've been to this courthouse. I've actually was there for a riot. Well, it was a peaceful protest mostly. But it seemed like a riot. I remember there was tear gas, and I remember there was Antifa, and there was a lot of words exchanged. And boy, 2020 is like a blur, man. And I thought my 20s were actually wild. No, 2020 was much more entertaining. There was, let's see, I do want to let people know, and I'm going to toot my own horn here. I got a new article out, and it is on the Elliott Forest. The Elliott Forest, if you guys don't know, SB 147. I should know this. I wrote the article. SB 147 came down, and they've turned the Elliott Forest into a carbon credit forest. And this is actually a horrible idea, because what they're doing is they're locking up all that stuff that's going to burn, all that fire, that fuel for the fires. That's all they've done. And so I wrote an article on this, and you can go check it out at the Northwest Observer, and it is SB 147. Horrible thing. I mean, just it's this is once again at the Northwest Observer, the continuing battle over management philosophies on Oregon, and that's supposed to be in Oregon. I don't know. I think that that may have been the editor. He changed the name of that a little bit. You know those editors, they're picky.
Yeah.
I'm glad he accepted the article. The last one I wrote was on Dick Anderson, and I think I was kind of a little bit slanted, you know. I guess I shouldn't have called him a son of a bitch. That maybe that would have. Is that opinion? I think he is a son of a bitch. I can prove that. I hope he sues me. I'll go to a court of law, and I'll get his mother. She'll back me up on this.
Yeah, no. But anyway.
But
anyway, so you have a new article out on Northwest Observer. So we got that.
Yep.
So I think we covered pretty much. I mean, you know, I could go on forever. If I had a better bladder, I could go on forever. So,
well, if you need to go, you can go. But I got to go through my sponsors real quick.
It's 3H Tree Service.
3H Tree Service for all your 3H Tree Service needs. If you've got a tree that's a liability, they've got branches hanging over your house, over your neighbor's house, maybe your neighbor's garage, and you got to take those branches out. Well, you can do it at a pretty good price, because they don't charge ridiculous prices to go in and take those trees out and those limbs out. They do a good job. They leave it a nice clean area and leave you with a view, a beautiful view where that tree once was. And that's 3H Tree Service at 541-294-1800. And this Monday, we should be playing Where's 3H Tree Service, and that's where anyone in the county on Monday, if they find the location where 3H Tree Service is doing work, they could win $50. Sometimes they get more than just $50. Last week, I believe they gave out a $50 plus a $20 gift certificate to was it Dishner's? Oh, no, it was that restaurant in Allegheny. What's that restaurant? That really nice steak restaurant in Allegheny.
I'd have no idea.
Oh, shoot. The Coach House. The Coach House. Boy, I
there
always forget their name. Yeah, Coach House. Really good place. So someone got a gift certificate on that, but they have winners all the time. There's a winner. And I showed last week's winner. And my other sponsor is Tom and Giggs. Tom and Giggs over at 135 South Shoneman Street for all your automotive needs. If you got any automotive needs, you can take them to the Empire neighborhood, because that's where Tom and Giggs is located, right behind the car wash. And if you know where Empire is, you know where the car wash is. Right behind.
Not only real cars, but RC cars as well.
They have RC cars. Check this out.
So
they have some really cool.
If you need quality auto repair, you go there. If you need quality RC cars, you go there. It's your one-stop shop for cars of all sizes.
I was going
There's one down.
Yeah, for your pet squirrel. Yeah, we got to stick
My
a squirrel in
would
there.
love that one.
We could make movies. Get the Tannerite with the RC cars and the squirrels, and we'll have PETA on us like nobody's business. Look at all those accessories. They got all the. I mean, you walk in there and they got all these accessories hanging all over the wall. So anything you need for your RC cars, they got it. That one was on sale. I don't know if that's still there, but that was a good price for those suckers. They've got planes. They've got hero copters. And, of course, Tannerite. You got some Tannerite. I'm still not sure whether I can actually show this or not, but if not, then I apologize to whichever government agencies I'm violating regulations on. So I apologize for that. Marty, you might want to hide your face. Marty wasn't involved with this. I swear. He didn't know. You didn't know, but tannerite, they do have tannerite, and it's they can do things with it. You know what I mean? Hopefully, the protesters on Saturday don't know about the tannerite, but you do have to be 18 to purchase tannerite, and they do ask for ID. And of course, herbal choices for all your herbal needs, those cannabis needs. You can find out more at the herbalchoices.com website. You must be 21 years or older to get into the stores. And they do have 5 stores: Charleston, Coos Bay, Bandon, Reedsport, and North Bend. And if you don't know, legislation is going through to take away your Second Amendment rights, and Oregon Firearms Federation is fighting to protect those rights, fighting in the courts. And I believe Measure 114 is going to the Supreme Court. That's the word I hear on the street. The street. Yeah, that's what
and the
my
nice
euphemism
thing
for
is
sex.
the nice thing is they can't take any action on it until the courts decide. So
Yeah.
they can't come after your stuff just yet.
All right. Who was that? Yosemite Sam. I feel like, yeehaw! Yeehaw! But then they would go, see, that's why we want to take your guns away.
Well, if you couldn't be a responsible gun owner, then we need to take your guns away.
That's what I think liberals picture when they talk about gun owners. They picture Yosemite Sam walking around shooting beer, 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 beer. I don't know.
Here, partner. Yeah.
So, Oregon Firearms Federation, you can find out more at OregonFirearms.org. And they're not my sponsors, but I like to promote them. Bandit Gun Club at banditgunclub.org. Tioga Sports Park at tiagasportspark.org. And of course, there's a Facebook group in Coos County that's got your back, got your six. It's Neighborhood Watch. They're out there. They're on patrol. And like I said, it's no shit. I always go to this website, their Facebook page, first thing in the morning. That's one of the first things that I look at, because I want to find out what crooks are out there and what they were doing. And you can find that out on Coos County Neighborhood Watch. And there's nothing stopping you guys from creating your own neighborhood watch. I mean, if you don't like this group, you can create your own. We encourage everyone to get out there and be active. Don't be a cuck. Don't be a cuck. Take back your neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's right. You got to take your neighborhood back. You can't be a cuck. And there are no cucks on Coos County Neighborhood Watch. It's a cuck-free zone. Only real men and real women, American people. Well, we like immigrants. I shouldn't say that, because we like immigrants. We just don't like illegal immigrants. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And so Coos County Neighborhood, they're watching for all criminals, all kinds of criminals. And you can join them on Facebook. And of course, Chris Castleman and his people, I shouldn't say his people, the people, and Chris Castleman at Coos County Citizen Watch, or Coos County Citizen Council.
Council.
They put on a podcast every Wednesday, and you can check that out from Coos County Citizen Council on Facebook. And there you go. See, I went through that pretty quick.
Yeah, not bad.
That wasn't bad.
Didn't need a jet assistant. I could just throw
I'm
it
sorry,
into
what?
Coos County Citizen Council. We could do it faster, quicker. We could, like the $6 Million Man, we could make it faster, quicker, stronger.
Make it better than it was.
Yeah. So anyway, we covered pretty much everything I thought we were going to cover. About the only thing I didn't cover was the Senator Padilla flying from D.C. to L.A. to attack DHS Secretary Kristi Noem and then play the victim. I'm like,
I saw that. That was all staged. Yeah, I saw that. Spent all that money to get there, and he did it just to do that. And you saw how he was walking out. I mean, that's kind of like how I walk out of the bar when I'm getting kicked out. Yeah. Who are you people, man? You want to fight?
Yeah,
you want to fight? You're lucky. You're lucky they're holding me back.
He took off his Senate. He took off his security badge. He took off his Senate pin. He went in there. He was argumentative, aggressive. He started rushing the thing. The security detail did exactly what they're supposed to do. Secret Service. They told him to stand down. He wouldn't stand down. And so they tackled him and took him out of there. And then after they got him out of the room, he said, "Oh, I'm a senator." And it's like, really? Why? How come you're not wearing your senator pin? You know, and of course everybody's going to say, "Oh, you can't do anything to me. Don't you know who I am? I'm a senator." Yeah, sure you are, pal.
Mm-hmm. Sure you are.
So anyway, so it was all staged, and you can tell it was staged because of the theatrics afterwards were Schumer and Pelosi, and everybody's going, "Oh, how sickening, you know, if they can do this to you, you know, if they can tackle a senator and put him in handcuffs, you know, they could do this to you." And I'm like going, "Oh, you mean like all the J6 people that you've had locked up for the last 4 years? Sorry, not crying at all about this one. That guy should be doing jail time. He was never elected. He was appointed senator when Kamala went from senator of California to VP. So this guy's never run an election. Nobody in California knows who he is."
They would do that to you or me. They would lock us up and throw us. Well, they would throw us on the ground and lock us up if we were violating the law. So it's crazy. They're going, they would be doing this to you or me or everyone. Well, they should. I would hope so.
Exactly. Yeah, and the funny thing is he posted a couple of times earlier when Trump was being, you know, tried and whatnot. No one is above the law. And so everybody on X, you know, he posted something and there was like 10,000 people that said, "Hey, was this you that posted no one's above the law?" So.
Well, there you go. Well, I will see you mañana.
I know. I will.
All
We're carpooling to the flag wave. I'll just swing by your place and then we can go from there.
Wow, that sounds like a one of the Beach Boys songs. Carpooling to the flag wave.
Yeah.
We were carpooling to the flag wave.
We were carpooling to the flag wave.
Carpooling to the flag wave. In the USA.
We're going,
I like that. All right, man. I'll talk to you later. And for all the rest of you out there, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hope to see you at the Flag Wave tomorrow, 3 to 5 in Coos Bay. And until then, folks, you know what we say? Carry on, Coos County.
Carry on, Coos County.
Carry
Carry on.